I'm going to say something that might surprise people. Richmond is an incredible city if you don't move here the wrong way, because Richmond isn't plug and play. It's not a place where every neighborhood feels interchangeable. It has layers, it has opinions, and small decisions here create very different daily lives. Living 5 minutes from Carytown versus 5 minutes past Hull Street isn't a minor difference. That's a totally different version of your day. One starts with walking to coffee and running into someone you know. The other starts by getting in the car for almost everything. I've watched people move here convinced they cracked the code. Great house, solid location, and 3 months later, they're frustrated, restless, wondering why the city isn't clicking, and calling me for a move. And I've watched other people land here and settle in fast, not because Richmond changed, but because they landed in the right fit and we did the research beforehand. Same city, very different experience. In Richmond, guessing gets exposed quickly, clarity gets rewarded, and once you stop buying the marketing version of the city and start living the real one, Richmond goes from pretty cool to something people have a hard time leaving. The real question is whether you already know which version of Richmond you're walking into, or whether you're about to learn it the hard way. I didn't learn this from a study or a brochure. I learned it by watching people move here again and again. And here's the pattern that surprised me. It usually wasn't budget that decided whether someone loved Richmond. It wasn't even the house itself. It was whether their day-to-day life matched who they actually are. I've had people swear they wanted walkable city living. They love the idea of being in the middle of things. Then a month in, they're worn down. Parking feels like a chore. Traffic noise never really stops. And they realize something they didn't expect. They love access to energy, but they don't want to live inside it. I've also seen the opposite. People move here chasing quiet and space, thinking that's what they want, and then realize they miss people, movement, and places that feel alive. That's when it clicked for me. Richmond doesn't respond to your wish list. It responds to how you actually live, your schedule, your tolerance for noise, how much convenience matters to you versus calm. Once you see the city that way, everything makes more sense. Why some people fall in love immediately and others never quite do. Richmond isn't one place trying to be everything to everyone. It's a collection of micro lifestyles. And if you don't know which one you're stepping into, you're guessing. This is the part people don't fully understand until they're unpacking boxes. Richmond is not one experience. It's a bunch of very different lifestyles stacked close together, and they don't feel the same at all. You cross one bridge, make one turn, and your daily rhythm changes. I've seen this play out enough times that it's almost predictable. I had a client who moved here set on walkability. That was the priority. They found a place that checked all the boxes. Great location, everything nearby. About a month in, they said something that stuck with me. I didn't realize how much noise bothered me until I couldn't turn it off. Nothing was wrong. The area worked exactly the way it was supposed to. It just didn't align with how they actually rested at night. On the flip side, I've worked with people who thought they wanted quiet and space, then realized they felt disconnected. They missed spontaneity. They missed seeing the same faces. They missed feeling plugged in. Same Richmond, completely different outcomes. That's because Richmond runs on micro lifestyles, not zip codes, not marketing labels. How you start your mornings, whether you walk to coffee or hop in the car, whether hearing life outside your window feels comforting or draining. So let me pause here and be very clear. If you're planning a move to Richmond and you don't want to guess your way into the wrong version of the city, this is exactly where I help. I am your local Richmond relocation realtor of choice, and this discovery process is what I do every single day. Before you pick a house, before you lock into a neighborhood, I help you clarify the lifestyle lane that actually fits how you live. My contact information is in the description. Call me, text me, email me, grab a time on my calendar. However you want to reach out. Getting this right up front changes everything. One of the biggest myths people bring with them when they look at Richmond is that they have to sacrifice something. City people assume space and quiet are gone forever. Suburban buyers think energy disappears once you leave downtown. Nature lovers assume access means isolation. That's just not how Richmond works. You can start your morning with real city energy, coffee shops opening, dogs pulling their owners down the sidewalk, joggers weaving around delivery trucks. That might be grabbing coffee off Carey Street or cutting through Scott's Addition before the breweries wake up. 10 minutes later, you're on a tree-lined road where things slow down. And a few minutes after that, you're near trails or river access inside the James River Park system, where it actually feels like being outdoors. That overlap is the secret. Most Richmond residents live within about 10 to 15 minutes drive of both activity corridors and meaningful green space. Less driving, less planning, fewer "we never do that anymore" moments. Here's something to consider. Does your ideal day start with a walkable coffee run and end somewhere quiet, or start calm and end somewhere social? Drop which one sounds more like you in the comments. If you remember one thing about Richmond, remember this: neighborhood names will lie to you, streets won't. People move here talking about neighborhoods like their personality types. We want the fan. We're looking in Church Hill. Manchester feels right. And those names matter, but in real life, the street you land on shapes your daily experience far more. This is an old city rule, and locals live by it without thinking. Two houses in the same neighborhood can feel completely different. One block is active and connected. The next is quiet and residential. That's why locals never just say where they live without context. Off Carey, near Broad, close to Maine, by the river. I've seen people pick the right neighborhood and still feel off. Not unsafe, not unhappy, just constantly irritated. And when we talked it through, it almost always came back to the street. Traffic patterns, foot traffic, lighting, noise, planning, and market data back this up. In Richmond, demand clusters along corridors. Homes within about a quarter mile of a major street tend to sell faster than comparable homes deeper inside the same neighborhood. Once you start thinking in streets instead of names, the city gets clearer fast. Here's the part nobody really prepares you for when you move here. Richmond doesn't wait for you to decide if you like it. It doesn't ask. It just starts happening. The first week, you're still in observer mode. You're exploring, you're comparing, you're saying things like, "We'll see how it feels," or "It's cool so far." You're still mentally outside the city, evaluating it. Then week 2 hits. You stop checking maps as often. You notice you already know which bridge traffic you avoid and which one you don't mind sitting on. You don't remember deciding that. It just happened. By week 3, patterns start forming. A coffee order you don't have to explain, a park you default to. Maybe it's the same loop through Bird Park or grabbing a drink near the river without debating where to go. There's real research behind this. Cities that are easy to learn, easy to repeat, and built around daily routines create emotional attachment faster than places that require constant planning. Behavioral studies show people begin forming place-based attachments in as little as 30 days when routines repeat in compact, legible environments. Richmond is exactly that. It's not overwhelming, it's readable. You figure it out quickly, and once you do, your guard drops. That's why people who swear they're just trying it for a year suddenly care a lot. They defend the city, they explain it to friends, they catch themselves saying, "It's hard to describe, but it just works." That's not hype, that's attachment forming. This is where people consistently get the math wrong in Richmond. They focus on the price tag and stop thinking. They compare purchase prices, square footage, taxes, monthly payments, and completely miss what that location is quietly giving back every single day. Because value here isn't about what you pay, it's about what you stop paying for once you land in the right spot. Time is the biggest one. Housing research consistently shows that commute time has a stronger impact on long-term happiness than home size. Add just 20 extra minutes of daily driving, and over the course of a year, you've essentially lost a full work week of your life. In Richmond, 10 minutes in the wrong direction doesn't feel dramatic at first. It just slowly eats away at your days. More driving, more planning, More will do that this weekend plans that never actually happen. Then there's lifestyle compression, when coffee, parks, trails, restaurants, and friends live closer to you. You don't need as much house to feel satisfied. You're not compensating with space because your life is happening outside your walls. That's why smaller homes closer to activity corridors routinely outperform larger homes farther out. After people settle in, regret almost never sounds like, "I wish I paid less." It sounds like, "I wish I lived closer." Two homes can cost the same and feel completely different once you're living in them. One demands more of you every day, more effort, more driving, more coordination. The other gives you margin, and margin is the thing people don't know how to price until they've lived without it. Growth in Richmond doesn't announce itself with fireworks. It whispers first. A street gets a little busier, not louder, busier. An old building gets lights back on, not renovated yet, just occupied. A coffee shop opens where no one was sure it would survive, and suddenly it's full at 8 a.m. on a Tuesday. That's the signal. People expect cranes everywhere, skyline shots, next Austin headlines. That's not how Richmond moves. This city grows in patterns, not bursts, and once you learn how to read those patterns, the future stops feeling random. Here's what actually happens. Adaptive reuse comes first. Old spaces get new purpose. Then lifestyle follows. People start showing up consistently. Then housing responds. By the time people start calling an area hot, the momentum has usually been there for years. Scott's Addition didn't explode out of nowhere, neither did Manchester, and you can see the same early rhythm along certain stretches of Broad Street today. In Richmond, growth is selective. Certain streets absorb it, certain blocks benefit from it, others stay almost exactly the same by design. If there's one thing you take away from this video, it's this. Richmond is not random, it's not confusing, and it's definitely not luck-based. It rewards people who choose lifestyle first, who understand streets over labels, value over price, and timing over hype. When you get that right, the city stops feeling like a gamble and starts feeling like it's working with you instead of against you. And if you're sitting there thinking, okay, this makes sense, but I don't want to mess this up, that's exactly where I come in. I'm the local Richmond realtor of choice. And this is what I help people do every single day. Not just find a house, but land in the right version of Richmond for how they actually live. All of my information is in the description. Call me, text me, email me, grab a time on my calendar. However you want to reach out, I'll help you get clarity before you make a move you can undo. And if you want to keep going right now, I've got you covered. Check out the playlist linked below. The next video breaks down how to spot the right area before everyone else does, and it builds perfectly on everything we just talked about. Richmond rewards the people who read it correctly. Let's make sure you're one of them.